My wife's promotion exposed my husband's shocking secret, and his mother's unbelievable sacrifice changed everything. After 3 years of grinding at my job, I finally got the promotion I'd been working toward. My salary nearly doubled. I was over the moon. But when I showed my husband Marcus the offer letter, his face went pale. "Why do you need that much money?" he asked. Then came the bombshell. "You should give half to my mother for emergencies." We'd been saving for 5 years to buy our own place, and suddenly he wanted to redirect my money to his mom? Something was terribly, terribly wrong. I stared at Marcus like he'd grown a second head. We'd been together for 7 years, married for 5, and in all that time, his mother Dorothy had never once mentioned financial troubles. She lived comfortably in her paid-off house, had a decent pension, and seemed perfectly content. The request made 0 sense. "Marcus, we're saving for a down payment," I reminded him, trying to keep my voice level. "We've talked about this for years. Why would your mom suddenly need money?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "She just does, Rachel. Can you trust me on this?" But that was exactly the problem. The way he asked, the defensive tone, the refusal to explain. None of it sat right. I wanted to trust him, but everything in my gut screamed that something was off. Over the next week, Marcus became a stranger in our own apartment. He'd take phone calls in the bathroom with the shower running. He'd stare at his laptop screen, then slam it shut when I walked by. At night, he'd lie awake beside me, and I could practically hear the gears grinding in his head. The tension between us grew so thick I could barely breathe. I called my best friend Jessica, desperate for perspective. "Maybe he's got gambling debts," she suggested. "Or maybe he's been borrowing money from his mom, and now she wants it back." Neither explanation felt right, but I had nothing better. I tried asking Marcus directly, but every conversation ended the same way, with him shutting down and me feeling like I was going crazy. Then, one Tuesday evening, I came home early from work. Marcus was in our bedroom, door half closed, talking on the phone. His voice was low and urgent. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help freezing in the hallway when I heard him say, "It's all going to come out soon anyway. I can't keep this up much longer." My heart dropped into my stomach. What was going to come out? Was he having an affair? Was he in some kind of legal trouble? That weekend, we were supposed to meet Marcus's college buddy Trevor for drinks. I almost canceled. The thought of pretending everything was fine made me exhausted. But something told me to go. Maybe Trevor would accidentally reveal something useful. We met at a sports bar downtown. Marcus was quieter than usual, nursing his beer, while Trevor and I made small talk about his new puppy. Then, after Marcus excused himself to the restroom, Trevor leaned across the table. "Hey, Rachel, I'm really sorry about what's happening with Marcus's company. If you guys need anything, let me know." I felt my face go blank. His company? Trevor's expression shifted. Oh no, he hasn't told you." "Told me what, Trevor?" He looked genuinely pained. "The construction firm where Marcus works, it's going under. They've been bleeding contracts for months. Word is they're doing layoffs at the end of the quarter. Marcus is probably on the list." Everything suddenly snapped into focus. The late-night anxiety, the weird phone calls, the distance between us. Marcus wasn't hiding an affair or a gambling problem. He was terrified of losing his job right when I'd gotten my big promotion. He felt like he was failing while I was succeeding. But that still didn't explain the thing about his mother. When Marcus returned, I didn't let on that I knew. But that night, after he finally fell into a restless sleep, I lay awake planning my next move. I needed to talk to Dorothy. The next morning, I called Marcus's mom and asked if I could stop by. She sounded surprised, but pleased. "Of course, sweetie. Is everything okay?" "I just want to chat," I said, keeping my tone light. Dorothy's house always smelled like cinnamon and old books. She'd lived there for 30 years, raised Marcus there after his father passed when Marcus was 12. The walls were covered with photos of Marcus at every age, gap-toothed at 7, awkward at 14, proud in his graduation cap. "Rachel, you look stressed," Dorothy said, setting a cup of tea in front of me at her kitchen table. "What's going on?" I didn't know how to start, so I just blurted it out. "Marcus says you need money? That I should give you half of my new salary for emergencies?" Dorothy's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Confusion, then understanding, then something that looked almost like guilt. She set down her own teacup carefully. "That boy," she said quietly. "I should have known he'd do something like this." "What do you mean?" He sighed deeply. "Rachel, I don't need money. I'm fine. More than fine, actually." She paused, seeming to wrestle with something. "But there's something I need to tell you. Something Marcus doesn't even know." My pulse quickened. "Okay." 6 months ago, Marcus came to me. He was upset, said he felt like he wasn't contributing enough to your savings. You were doing so well at work, and he felt stuck. He wanted to give you something special, a head start on the down payment for a house. Dorothy's eyes went distant. "So I told him I'd won $15,000 in the lottery. I gave him the money to add to your savings account." I stared at her. "You won the lottery?" "No, sweetheart, I didn't. I lied." She reached across the table and took my hand. "That money was from my own savings. I've been putting away money for decades. I wanted to help you kids, but but I knew Marcus was too proud to accept it as a gift. So I invented the lottery story. My mind was reeling. But why would Marcus tell me to give you money if you'd just given him money? Because he doesn't want you to know about the $15,000, Dorothy said gently. And I'm guessing he's panicking about something else right now, isn't he? I told her everything. About Marcus's strange behavior, about what Trevor had revealed about the company. Dorothy listened carefully, nodding. That sounds like my son, she said when I finished. When his father died, Marcus decided he had to be the man of the house. He was 12 years old, Rachel. 12, and he's been carrying that weight ever since. This idea that he has to be strong and successful and never show weakness. She squeezed my hand. He's probably terrified that you'll think less of him if you know he might lose his job. That's ridiculous, I said. I love him. One setback doesn't change that. I know that. You know that. But Marcus has to learn it. When I got home that evening, Marcus was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. I sat down next to him and didn't say anything for a long moment. I talked to your mom today. His whole body went rigid. What did she tell me? Everything. About the $15,000, about the lottery that never happened. Marcus put his face in his hands. Rachel, I talked to Trevor. I know about your company. He looked up at me and I was shocked to see tears in his eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I felt like such a failure. You got this amazing promotion and I'm about to lose my job, and I just convinced you we were making progress on the house, but that was only because of my mom's money, which means I didn't really contribute anything. And his voice cracked. I thought if I could redirect some of your salary to my mom, it would somehow balance things out. I could secretly give her money to pay her back, and then later I could tell you the truth about the lottery, and you'd never have to know that I was completely useless. Marcus, you're not useless. I make less than you. I'm about to lose my job. What kind of husband does that make me? I took his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. The kind who's been working his butt off in construction for 7 years to help us build a future. The kind who is thoughtful enough to want to give me a special surprise. The kind who loves his mother and wants to pay her back. I wiped a tear from his cheek. But also the kind who really needs to learn to communicate instead of making up weird stories about giving money to his mom. Despite everything, he laughed. It was a small, broken sound, but it was something. We're supposed to be a team, I continued. That means when things are hard, we face them together. You don't protect me from bad news, and I don't protect you. We just deal with it. Together. Marcus pulled me close, and I felt his whole body shaking. We sat like that for a long time. The next morning, I did something Marcus didn't expect. I called my boss, Harrison, and asked if I could talk to him about something personal. Harrison was in his 50s, had been through 2 recessions and a divorce, and had always been supportive of me. He told me to come by his office. My husband's company is going under. He's likely going to be laid off soon. I know this is a huge ask, but do you know anyone who might be hiring? He's been in construction management for 7 years. He's reliable and hardworking, and Harrison held up a hand. Rachel, you just brought in our biggest client of the year. I owe you. Let me make some calls. 3 days later, Harrison handed me a business card. My buddy Logan runs a commercial construction company. They're expanding. Tell Marcus to call him and mention my name. I wanted to surprise Marcus with the lead, but I just lectured him about communication. So instead, I showed him the card that evening and explained what I'd done. He stared at the card like it might bite him. You talked to your boss about me? Yes, because I'm proud of you and I want to help you. Is that okay? He was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. Yeah, that's okay. Marcus called Logan the next morning. They met for coffee, then Logan invited him to tour the company's current projects. 2 weeks later, Marcus got a formal offer. Construction project manager, with a salary that was actually higher than what he'd been making before. He called me from his car right after the meeting, and I could hear the smile in his voice. I got it, Rachel. I actually got it. Of course you did. You're good at what you do. The layoffs at Marcus's old company came 3 weeks after he'd already given his notice. He would have been on the list. Knowing he dodged that bullet by such a small margin made us both grateful and a little shaken. With both our salaries stable and Marcus's anxiety finally easing, we started seriously house hunting. Every weekend, we'd drive around neighborhoods, peeking into open houses, arguing about whether we needed a garage or could settle for street parking. We also started talking more. Really talking. Marcus told me about how scared he'd been as a kid after his dad died, how he'd promised himself he'd always take care of his mom and never be a burden. I told him about my own fears, that I wasn't smart enough for the promotion, that I'd somehow mess it up and let everyone down. We're quite the pair, Marcus said one night, lying in bed. Both secretly terrified we're not good enough. At least we're terrified together, I replied. His mother Dorothy became a regular part of our house hunting adventures. She had opinions about everything: school districts, resale value, whether the kitchen had enough natural light. Marcus initially protested, saying we needed to do this ourselves, but Dorothy shut that down fast. Marcus James Patterson, I raised you in a two-bedroom house that was falling apart, and we were happy. These kids want me involved, and I'm going to be involved. End of discussion. Marcus and I exchanged a look and tried not to laugh. When Dorothy used his full name, there was no arguing. We finally found a place we loved. A three-bedroom condo in a new development with big windows and a balcony overlooking a small park. It was slightly above our budget, but with both our salaries and the savings we'd accumulated, including Dorothy's contribution, which we'd all agreed to accept as a gift rather than a loan, we could make it work. The day we got the keys, Dorothy insisted on being there. The three of us walked through the empty rooms, our voices echoing off the bare walls. Marcus put his arm around me, and Dorothy took a photo on her phone. "This is just the beginning," she said. "You two are going to fill this place with so much love and so many memories." I looked at Marcus, and he looked at me, and I knew we were both thinking the same thing. We'd almost lost this, almost let fear and pride destroy something beautiful, but we'd found our way back. "Thank you," Marcus said quietly to his mother, "for everything. For the money, for lying about the lottery, for not judging me when I was being an idiot." Dorothy kissed his cheek. "That's what mothers do, sweetheart. We love you even when you're being an idiot." Especially then. We moved in 3 weeks later. Friends helped carry boxes. Dorothy brought enough food to feed an army. And by the end of the day, we collapsed on our new couch, the first piece of furniture we'd bought together, exhausted and happy. That night, after everyone had left, Marcus and I stood on our balcony looking out at the park. A few people were walking their dogs. A couple was sitting on a bench, talking and laughing. "I'm sorry I almost screwed this up," Marcus said. "You didn't screw anything up. You were scared, and you didn't know how to handle it. We worked through it." I leaned my head on his shoulder. "That's what matters. I promise I'll be better at talking about things. And I promise I'll be better at noticing when you're struggling." We stood there for a while, just breathing in the evening air and the relief of having made it through. Life settled into a new rhythm. Marcus thrived in his new job, coming home energized rather than drained. I got more comfortable in my role. Stopped waiting for someone to realize I didn't deserve the promotion. Dorothy visited every Sunday for dinner, and slowly our condo started to feel like home. About 3 months after we'd moved in, I was taking out the trash one evening when I noticed our neighbor from 2 doors down, a woman I'd seen a few times but never really talked to, doing the same thing. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with dark circles under her eyes. "Hey," I said, trying to be friendly. "I'm Rachel. We moved in a few months ago." "Elena," she said shortly. She seemed nervous, glancing back at her door. "Everything okay?" I asked. She hesitated, then lowered her voice. Do you ever hear anything weird at night from the unit between us?" I thought about it. "No, I don't think so." "Why?" Elena bit her lip. "It's probably nothing. Just the guy who lives there, he's out at strange hours, like 3 in the morning. Taking trash out, bringing bags in, and sometimes I hear, never mind, I'm probably just paranoid, new building jitters, you know." She gave me a strained smile and hurried back to her unit. I stood there in the hallway, trash bag in hand, looking at the door of the unit between ours and Elena's. It was unmarked, anonymous. I'd never seen anyone come or go. When I got back inside, Marcus was making tea. "Everything okay?" he asked, noticing my expression. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Just met the neighbor, Elena. She seems nervous about something." Marcus shrugged. "New building, lots of unfamiliar people. She'll settle in." He was probably right. But as I got ready for bed that night, I found myself thinking about Elena's face, the way she'd glanced back at that middle door, the way she'd started to say something, then stopped herself. Looking back now, I realize how lucky Marcus and I were. We could have let pride and fear destroy us, could have let lies build up until we couldn't find our way back to each other. Instead, we learned that the strongest foundation isn't built on never having problems. It's built on being brave enough to face them together. Trust isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Whatever secrets that building might hold, Marcus and I had learned the most important lesson. Keeping secrets only makes things worse. Communication, honesty, vulnerability, that's what holds a relationship together when everything else is falling apart. Write what you think about this situation. Also, if you like this video, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bell to receive notifications about the latest videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.